thought we might see some overtakes this afternoon at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. We hoped we might see some battles up and down the grid. What we got was a masterclass, absolutely dominant driving yet again from Max Verstappen, who extends his lead in the World Championship. It has been a sensational day here in Belgium, and it's time to debrief everything we've seen over the last 44 laps. Hello and welcome to your F1 Live post-race show with me, Rosanna Tennant. After a fantastic Belgian Grand Prix, and now we know we'll be racing here again next year, it's all the sweeter. We have been treated to a fabulous race, and with me to discuss everything we've seen is the world champion of Formula E this year, Stoffel Vandoorne. Stoffel, great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Now, you have been busy commentating on what we've just seen. I think dominant is one word to describe the performance from Max Verstappen today. As a racing driver, what he was doing out there today surely still looks special, even though you know how to do that sort of thing too.
Yeah, definitely. It was an absolutely dominant weekend, I would say, for Max. You know, he was flying in both practice sessions, put the car actually on pole with one lap in Q3, stepped out of his car and then was waiting for the others to finish their laps. Then obviously had the engine penalties, and you know, I think it was lap 18 or something. He was in the actual lead of the race, and then he just, you know, no one really got close to him, extended his lead and finished the race with 18 seconds in front of everyone.
He was just picking the drivers off in front of him. We're going to analyse everything we've seen this afternoon. We'll be taking a look at perhaps where it went wrong for Ferrari this weekend. We'll be looking even closer at those incidents at the start of the race as well. Stoff will be here for all of that. We'll be heading back to our Tech HQ as well to analyse all of that. Let's go right back to the start of the race then, because Stoffel, I think a lot of people were looking forward to the battle, not just on the front row with Carlos Sainz and Checo Perez, but also Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso. I don't think we were expecting quite what we saw. How did you view the incident out there?
It's very unfortunate to see, to see that incident, obviously, especially on lap 1. Fernando had a good start, Lewis had a really good start, and then he obviously had this mega run on Fernando into Les Combes, turn 5. I think you know, it's a hard one, you know, because Fernando was obviously on the inside. I don't think he actually had a lot of room to go anywhere else, and maybe Lewis should have taken that into consideration, that he was racing Fernando. You know, Fernando is never giving up. He's always going to fight until the very last moment. But I think equally from Lewis's position, I don't think he could really see where Fernando was. So yeah, it's unfortunate they touched, and in the end, you know, Lewis was the big loser of the incident.
Absolutely, Lewis Hamilton failing to finish the race and failing to finish a race now in 2022 for the first time. Fernando Alonso branded him an idiot, and also as he drove past Lewis, as Lewis was sort of making his way back to the paddock, sort of a hand gesture almost, sort of, it looked like a sort of like, that's what you get if you cross me type thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's typical Fernando, you know, in the heat of the moment, he you know, he loves to use his radio comments for, you know, to make his own publicity, but yeah, it's you know, it's never nice when an incident happens, and especially when a car retires because of it. So you know, I wouldn't say it was intentional, but yeah, it was just a very unfortunate outcome.
And of course, Mercedes, your team, have been struggling over the course of the weekend to switch the tyres on to get the performance out of the W13 car. That performance that we saw in Hungary just a few weeks ago, with the warmer temperatures today, I mean, we saw George finishing 4th. Do you think Lewis could have stayed right up there and finished as high as perhaps even a podium position this afternoon had he not crashed out?
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a hit and miss to understand our car really over the last couple of races. Like, sometimes we've had very good performance and you know, the pace was clearly there, and then yesterday was one of those where, you know, we were just way too far off pole position. But we always knew that the car is better in race conditions, and we saw that again with George today. I think you know, I think Lewis would have probably been up there as well, and they, yeah, you know, maybe could have fought for the podium as well. But yeah, it'll always be a question mark with Lewis what could have been.
Certainly will be. Well, Lewis cut a lonely figure as he headed back to the F1 paddock. He then headed to the media pen to talk with our colleague Lawrence Barretto.
Lewis, that was a mega start. So can you just talk me through what that moment where you had a really good run on Fernando heading into that corner?
Yeah, I had a really good toe on Fernando and did a move down the outside. Got up alongside him a little bit ahead of him. I thought that I left enough room, and I didn't, and I paid the price for it. So it's my fault, and just really sorry to my team, really. Yeah.
It's just overall been a really difficult weekend performance-wise, isn't it?
It really has, and to come out, you always want to see it through to the end of the race, So to lose a race through something that happened so quickly, and also unintentionally, it wasn't like this sort of stuff happens. It's motor racing when you're traveling at the speeds, but yeah, it's painful as always.
Hard luck, thank you.
Have you identified with the team during this weekend, since it has been a more challenging weekend, maybe as told beforehand? Have you identified where the problems were? So that was the first incident of this afternoon's Grand Prix. There was another incident between Nicholas Latifi and Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri trying to sort of get out of the way when Latifi's car was sort of moving all over the track. How did you see that? Was Valtteri really kind of a sitting duck, as it were?
Yeah, he was kind of just in that mix for no reason, to be fair. He was just trying to get out of the way of Latifi, who was spinning in front of him. And I think, Nicholas was getting pushed a little bit into the gravel, I think, by Lance or something that sent him into a spin. So it was, kind of a weird sequence of incidents that happened.
It certainly was. Let's bring in Nicholas Latifi's teammate, Alex Albon, waiting patiently in the wings. A point, Alex. Awesome. How do you feel about that? Well done.
Thank you very much. It was a good one out there. It was a tricky one. I mean, after 3 laps in the race, I knew this was going to be a long race. The deck was high. I think the track temp picked up massively and the wind picked up, and we know wind doesn't really suit our car, and track temp with low downforce, all that sliding around that you're doing isn't good for the tyres, and you can get away with it in qualifying, but in the race it came to bite us a little bit. But that's what we need for our car. It made it hard for people to overtake them last 20 laps, so I just wanted them to end as quickly as possible. It was like, come on, just come on. And at that point I thought, okay, he's going to get past soon. Every lap was like, he hasn't got past yet, or now. And it was just passing down the numbers until the last lap, and we just kept ahead, so really happy. It feels like it's one of them nice weekends where when you don't have the pace and you still score a point, that feels really special, and that felt like that today.
Now, I hate to turn your attention to next weekend, but of course we move quickly now to Zandvoort. It's a totally different challenge, and I imagine one that perhaps you're not loving the prospect of with this car.
I'm looking more towards Monza.
Yeah, sorry. It's got that tiny speed bump of the sand dunes in Zandvoort first.
We'll see. It can surprise us. Actually, the Williams was quicker around Zandvoort last year. There was always a few. I remember even the Alpha was quick. He doesn't always look so obvious, that circuit on paper. So we'll go in there. Of course, we've just had a good result, so there's a positivity and a buzz in the team already. And we'll see. We'll never say no. Hopefully, there's some good old Dutch rain, and let's see what happens.
And a sea breeze. Just looking here, what a backdrop we have for our post-race show this afternoon. The news now, of course, that we know we'll be racing here again in 2023. As a racing driver, is that a nice feeling to know that one of the historic tracks is keeping its place on the calendar?
Of course, it's one of them things. I'm sure every driver's said it already, but it's a special circuit. We're old tracks, they keep that characteristic that you don't really get on new circuits, and it's got the elevation, the cambers, the speed, and it makes a Formula 1 car feel like a Formula 1 car, if that makes sense. So it is special, and we need these kind of circuits in Formula 1. The racing is good. We saw that today. I don't actually know if maybe it was a boring race.
No, we enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
Stoff was commentating on it. I've stayed till the end, so
Okay.
I think you've done
No
everything
one fell
you need
asleep
to.
at home either.
It was more racing than last year, at least.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's good.
They got their money's worth this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. It's not like Zandvoort. Zandvoort next week, we're going to go in there. It's all about qualifying, and we like them races. Actually, after qualifying yesterday, I wish it was more like Monaco around here today. But anyway, we held off.
Oh, well, I'm so thrilled you managed to hang on for those last 20 laps. Congratulations. Enjoy that point, and
Thank you.
Fingers crossed the car will go well again next week
much.
in Zandvoort. Thank you
Cheers,
so
guys.
much. And you long for a Formula 1 driver to come along, and now we've got all of them at once. Stoff.
How are you doing? Hello.
Hello. Well, you've got a smile on your face. Tell me about the race from your point of view this afternoon. Did you enjoy yourself out there?
I did enjoy this race to the fullest. You know, it's been awesome, a great weekend, I think, for us all as a team. The car was performing the best it's done since I joined, to be fair. Great qualifying yesterday. Obviously, we took the engine penalty, but from P17 to end up having 6 points, it's pretty solid. So definitely happy.
Oh, well, fantastic. We'll let you go because I know you're
Thank you
a
very
man
much.
in demand.
See you. Hello and bye.
Hello and goodbye. Bonjour et au revoir. Spa-Francorchamps finishing P7 with that penalty, as he mentioned. It's interesting times at Alpine, isn't it, Stoff? I mean, the headlines are fantastic. It makes for great reading, and I wonder who's going to partner that guy next year.
Yeah, I think everyone is.
Have you put your name on the list?
No.
No.
I mean, apparently Otmar said there's 14 guys on the list, so I would like to know who it is, you know?
14 people on the list?
14 people apparently, that's what Otmar said.
Oh
so
my goodness.
I'm not sure, but it's definitely the question that everyone is asking. We obviously know there's a side situation with McLaren as well, with Piastri obviously, so I think everyone is kind of waiting to hear the results of that, which if I'm right, should be decided next week.
Yes, I think tomorrow is when they're meeting, isn't it? The
okay.
ruling of the contract, and we will find out whether Oscar Piastri will be racing in Alpine or not. We'll be hearing from Otmar Zafna, I'm being told, a little later on the show, so I'm sure he'll have a little bit of light to throw on that situation. Let's head back to our studio now and join Alpine development driver, theme of the show, Jordan King, who's been looking at those incidents earlier on in the race.
Yeah, so we've got the first opening lap incidents. We heard from Lewis Hamilton. He said, well, really took blame for it, let's be honest, but no malice there. So let's have a quick look at it. We've got Fernando Alonso in front. Lewis Hamilton here goes to the outside, as we can see. Then from there onwards, we come round into turn 6 and 5 and 6. Can't see too much from here. We can see that Alonso is on the outside, on the inside curb with Hamilton around the outside. We play it for a big airborne moment, but we now go back onto his onboard. Much easier to see now, really, what happened. So we're riding on board with Fernando Alonso. Lewis goes to the outside. If we can then pause it here and play it through slowly, Lewis just doesn't quite leave him enough room. Fernando Alonso on the right-hand side, all over the curb. Lewis Hamilton now, they've already interlocked wheels. So at some point, there's going to be contact. Fernando Alonso can't go any further to the right. And then up in the air they go. If we play this through now, as we keep going, this is what did for Lewis Hamilton's race. Alonso's now behind, onboard camera gets absolutely covered in oil. So there's obviously been some engine damage to this, now completely covered in oil. He probably can't see, he's going to have to rip a tear off. Lewis Hamilton goes around and then we hear the radio message of saying, please stop as quick as you can, Lewis, because there's been some damage.
Thanks, Jordan. Great to have a little look at that incident more closely. And we've been joined, while we were listening to you, Jordan, by Pierre Gasly. Great result today, mate. You were there on the grid, and then suddenly you weren't on the grid. So talk us through your race, starting
Good
with the pit
observation.
lane. Yeah.
What happened, actually? Nobody knows.
What happened?
Well, to be fair, I don't even know myself. I just know that the car will not switch on, and yeah, they had to push the car back to the garage. And until 90 seconds before the race start, we were still thinking not to take part of the race because we could not start the engine. So all of a sudden the car became alive, and yeah, we could race, but just from slightly further back than we expected.
And no worries through the race? You didn't have any kind of little issues or
No, first lap I
that?
managed to pass Yuki, and then on the back straight I had no battery, so I mean it just passed me back. I was missing quite a lot of power, and then from the second lap onwards it was fine. But I must say it's been really eventful couple of first laps, and then yeah, from there I'm quite surprised, like positively surprised we made it back to the top 10. But yeah, definitely really happy about the race. Yeah.
Have you learned a little bit more about the car? I know you're always learning, but are you feeling you're moving in the right direction now?
I don't know. Yeah, we're either moving in the right direction or others are moving backwards. You know, I don't either way. But it's definitely working playing in our advantage. And no, I mean today we executed the best race we could, starting from the pit lane. We haven't been in the points for a couple of races, and it's been quite hard. So no, I'm just also it was my 100th Grand Prix, so I wanted some points to make it to kind of remember that one. So yeah, it was a pretty good one.
Yeah, super nice to come away with points for that one. We were just talking about the driver market and Alpine and Otmar Zafna saying 14 people are on that list. Do you know who those 14 are? Have you heard anything about all of that?
I'm not the one making the decision, so I don't know why. Yeah.
You're not on the list. Are you on that list?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know. We're trying to work out who's on it. 14 seems like a lot of people going for that seat.
It's probably better to go to the ones
you're probably on the list as well.
You'd have to cut me in half to try and shove me in a Formula One cockpit.
14 names, that's quite a lot. So no, who knows? I mean, I haven't just obviously saw like everyone what's happened yesterday, but I was focused on my weekend and trying to do the best job for AlphaTauri, and then yeah. That's pretty much
That's all it is, and you've done that exactly today. So well done, pit lane to P9.
Thank you.
Well done, Pierre. We'll see you again in Zandvoort only a few days now. Would you go well there, do you reckon?
Yeah, why not?
But totally different circuit and
yeah, but still, last year we finished fourth, so if you keep him, if you bring him,
yeah,
he's my
I'll
lucky
come,
charm.
You know, apparently I bring luck for
my
Pierre,
lucky
so
charm.
I'll be back.
Just make sure he's
give
around.
a little rub.
Cool.
Okay, thank you so much, Pierre. We'll see you next week. Oh dear, he's a funny one. I like him when he's in good spirits because he's had a bit of bad luck this year, I think.
Yeah, I think is a couple of races where they just had, I think, unfortunate events, not being able to score points, and yeah, it's nice to see him back in the points.
Certainly is, and he always squirms when I mention driver market. But he's signed with AlphaTauri.
Not giving away a lot, isn't he?
No, he's very good. I think playing poker against him would be a tough gig. But go back to that list. I mean, 14 people vying for the Alpine seat. That seat is worth having, isn't it? I mean, it's a weird one that Fernando's given it up in a sense because we've got a P5 because Fernando's been promoted to P5 and Charles Leclerc has dropped down, and Ocon finishing P7. So I kind of feel like it's a good team to join.
It definitely is. I mean, they've come on very well since last year. They're definitely ahead of McLaren right now as well, and they're kind of constantly up there. They both qualified very well. Obviously, Esteban had these engine penalties, but got back in the race, and they finished whatever it is, 5th and 7th. So they're definitely on the way up. Now the question mark is, can they make the next step? But for any drivers that aren't in a Red Bull, aren't in a Ferrari or a Mercedes, it's probably the best seat to have.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, we're going to hear whether Oscar Piastri will have to, in inverted commas, drive for Alpine next year, according to his contract when it goes to court tomorrow. So I'm sure there'll be lots of news on the F1.com website from tomorrow onwards, so keep an eye out for that. And we mentioned McLaren. I think that battle between Alpine and McLaren, obviously super close. It was 4 points coming into this race. I haven't quite done the maths yet just to work out where it's all shaking out right now, but it's a super close battle, and today McLaren definitely left wanting in terms of their performance.
Yeah, definitely. Both cars out of the points, so that always hurts, and that's not what their target was. Personally, I expected a lot more from McLaren this weekend. I feel like they've historically had some pretty good results here. I feel like they got some straight line speed as well, but for some reason they didn't really have the pace or something this weekend. So it's an odd one.
Yeah, McLaren losing out to Alpine. Well, Laura Winter has been roaming in the paddock and has found Alpine team principal Otmar Zafna. Let's hear what he's been saying.
It's a sweet 16 for Alpine today. 16 points, double points haul for you both. It's been a good day out there today, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a good weekend all along, and qualifying 5th and 6th on merit was good. And Esteban had his penalty, so he started 17th, and for him to come up all the way to 7th and from 17th was a great achievement, and he overtook, I think, 2 competitors in one go. Vettel and Gasly, I think it was brilliant. And Fernando had a steady race after coming together with Lewis and achieved, I think, no more than he could have. So, 5th and 7th, the bit of luck with Leclerc at the end getting a penalty, but, you've got to be there. We had to be within 5 seconds of him, and we were. So, well deserved.
There were indeed some cracking overtakes, and well done to Fernando as well for keeping his cool. Indeed, after that early collision, does this give you confidence heading to Zandvoort, although albeit a slightly different type of circuit?
Different circuit, but we've shown that this year that we're good at a variety of circuits. So we look forward to Zandvoort and Monza thereafter, and if we can repeat what we've done here, then it'd be great. We'll be well on our way to consolidating 4th.
It's been a brilliant weekend for you. Another challenge awaits tomorrow, of course, with the Contract Recognition Board. What's the mindset for you heading into tomorrow?
Well, we've done our best in the short period of time to explain our side of the story, and I'm sure Oscar will explain his, and we'll have the CRB decide.
We'll see what happens. Well done this weekend. Thanks so much, Otmar.
Laura Winter with Alpine team principal Otmar Zafnauer. And just going back to the McLaren performance today, I was interested to hear on the radio Lando Norris's engineer, Will Joseph, asking and talking about Plan G. Now, we've heard a lot of letters of the alphabet, but Plan G seems like we're going quite far down. I just wondered, how do you get to that in an engineering meeting? Are you remembering every single scenario down to G?
Well, you definitely remember quite a few of them. They're probably not going down from A to G. I would probably imagine that they use the letter G as a shortcut for some kind of plan.
Go faster.
Yeah, maybe it's that. I would hope so.
Yeah.
But no, usually before the race you would have like 4 scenarios, I would say 4 or 5 maximum. Otherwise, it just gets a little bit too intense to remember everything. But you'll have 4 or 5. Letter A, B, C, D, E, whatever it is. Some teams are using different letters for it, but you have 4 or 5, and then one will be a 1-stop, a 2-stop, one in case of a safety car. So they all have different meanings, and that's what you have to try to remember once you jump in the car.
So much to remember, so much to operate and remember. Well, let's hear from Lando Norris. He was told to go flat chat to lap 44. Of course, that was the checkered flag. Let's hear how he found his race out at the circuit Spa-Francorchamps.
Hey, Lando, it looked like a tough afternoon out there. What was it like in the cockpit?
No, it was quite easy. I could just carve my way through and just make positions every lap.
That's what you wished it was like.
That was my dream. No, it was a tough race, just not easy to overtake at all. Just conditions were tricky, not a lot of grip. So like just getting a good run out of one and preparing a good overtake was pretty much impossible. So yeah, it was tough, but we tried. I think P12. I mean, there's nothing to be proud of, I guess. I think we did the best job we could, so we have to be happy with that. But the pace was just a long way off from where we need to be, so made it tough.
Might it be a little bit circuit specific around here, do you think? Because Zandvoort's a different place.
I'm not sure. A little bit. I think gaps between everyone looks bigger than normal. The Red Bull's like 2 seconds a lap quicker than everyone now, and Ferrari a long way ahead of everyone else. So just with this track running a low downforce, I think maybe it just exposes more issues and more problems with everyone. So I hope it's a little bit track specific because Alpine was so much further ahead today. But I don't think a lot of it is. A lot of it is just they've been quicker all season, and today's another day that they're quicker. So we'll keep working and see if there's anything we can find for Zandvoort. But it's also high downforce, so I'm hoping it at least brings us a little bit closer.
Thanks.
An unfortunate day for Lando Norris, as he said, finishing P12, but of course starting with a penalty. His teammate Daniel Ricciardo having an even worse day of it, really, finishing in P15. Is it the off-track antics bothering him, do you think? How difficult is it to block that out when you get into a cockpit?
It's certainly not easy, I think, from his perspective, but I think this race was particularly tough for him. We didn't really see any pace from his side, and obviously his summer break doesn't look like it's been a great summer break with everything that's been happening behind the scenes. So that will definitely play on his mind, and I think it's not only that, but it's also now his focus on his future that is probably playing on his mind. He's got uncertainty from both sides, and I think until he's got his future sorted, it's going to be a little bit challenging for him.
It was before the drivers' parade where he was sitting on his own with the back against the wall. It was so unlike Daniel Ricciardo, the smiley, gregarious guy that wants to be chatting with everyone. I was then heartened by the fact he was joined by other drivers out on the grid, sitting against the wall. But yeah, it's a different Daniel Ricciardo we're seeing at the moment. Well, he's been talking in the media pen to Lawrence Barretto. Let's hear how he found his race.
Hey Daniel, you spent a lot of that race in the points, on the fringes of points. I'm guessing it must be pretty frustrating not to be in them at the end.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously started there and was able to get Albon, I think, at the start. And then it was a bit of a mess with Alonso and Lewis. And I was trying to go here and there, and obviously Lewis was nursing the issue. And I kind of just got a bit whatever in that situation, and Seb got me. But we still obviously had Albon, which we thought that was a kind of critical one. But I think a couple laps later he he sailed past on the straight. So I think whilst his tyres were fresh, you know, they could use the straight line speed and just make the gains they needed to. So yeah, we were just too slow on the straight. That was the biggest thing. And I mean, a little bit unfortunate because after the issue yesterday, it's not the wing we wanted to run, but we were forced to, and we knew today it was probably going to hurt us. So then, yeah, just thinking clear air, we were quicker, but we never had clear air because if I didn't have a slipstream, someone would pass me, and if I was right behind someone, even with DRS, we couldn't make an overtake. So pretty long old day.
Hard luck, thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
Both McLaren drivers finishing outside of the point then. They'll be hoping to turn that around in a week's time as we head to Zandvoort. Conversely, Red Bull Racing had a phenomenal day in the office with a 1-2, Max Verstappen winning the race and Sergio Perez coming home in P2. Red Bull were a force to be reckoned with this weekend, weren't they? Although we thought Checo might not have the pace, but then putting out a 1-2, just easy as that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Red Bull dominant this weekend. You know, like you said, Checo probably started the weekend a little bit on the slow foot, on the back end, but then he suddenly turned it up for FP3 and qualifying and got himself, you know, that pole position. Obviously, you know, just behind behind Max, but. Yeah, I mean, good race performance. Got rid of Carlos, and then yeah, just kind of controlled that gap, let's say. But really, Max was the one that was standing out from P14, getting into the lead, and yeah, just extending that gap to Checo.
Certainly, no. The Red Bull guys were in another league today, and we hear, don't we, sort of gossip and rumour that Porsche are coming into the sport soon, and that would be with Red Bull. We heard already that Audi will be joining in 2026, so this place is an attractive proposition for OEMs around the world and the manufacturers. What have you made of the news of that as a driver, a fan of the sport as well?
But it's great to see, you know, first of all, Audi coming in, that's 100% certain. We've obviously heard the rumors about Porsche, and yeah, I mean, it would be great for the sport. It's such an iconic brand. They've raced in Le Mans. They've won Le Mans, both of them actually, Audi and Porsche. So now they want to come join Formula One and try it out with in the big league, let's say. So that will be great to see. It's still a couple of years away, but it's exciting for the future.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well, one man who I'm sure knows just how discussions are going with Porsche is Christian Horner, team principal at Red Bull Racing. He's been talking to Laura Winter in the paddock. I mean, from the looks of it, it was one of the easiest wins we've seen Max Verstappen achieve. On paper, it should have been the most difficult, starting from P14. How do you rate that one?
That was right up there. I mean, it was a big race for us to start P14, to get the victory, the fastest lap, a 1-2 with Checo as well, beyond all our expectations. So, the car's been fantastic this weekend. The drivers have been, on it, completely, and it's a big day in both championships for us, so absolutely thrilled with that result.
Even when Charles Leclerc put the softs on at the end to get the fastest lap, he was still half a second off the pace of Max Verstappen. What do you put this pace down to?
Maybe it's the TD. I've got no idea. I think this track has played to all our strengths, and that's been really rewarding. The drivers have been right on it. The team have done a wonderful job this weekend, and great to see the level of performance that we've managed to achieve.
And great for that performance from Max to be backed up by Checo as well. Heading into Zandvoort, of course, confidence must be sky high. It's Max's home track, and he's going there in impeccable form.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's going to be massive support for him, and it's important just to keep our feet on the ground. And it was a massive event last year, and I think it'll be even bigger this year. But that's an important race for us, and the next challenge to overcome. So different layout, different type of circuit, and I'm sure Ferrari are going to come back at us hard there.
I was going to say the lead is growing over Ferrari, but I bet you're not counting your chickens just yet.
No, of course not. It's still a lot of racing to go, and we saw early in the year how quickly things can change. So nothing taken for granted, and we just keep attacking each weekend.
Yeah, for now, bask in the glory of what was a perfect weekend. Thanks, Christian.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
As Christian Horner says, Zandvoort is a very different challenge, a much shorter, much sort of more compact circuit than this very, very long beast of a circuit behind me at Spa-Francorchamps. We saw the Williams drivers go well here with the slippery car that they have, particularly in Sector 1, where we saw Alex Albon almost 4/10 up on everybody else yesterday during qualifying in Sector 1. So Jordan King, Alpine development driver, has been looking at how the Williams has been set up and why it is so fast in those long straights of a circuit.
Yeah, we heard from Alex himself saying it was a stressful few laps. I think last 20 laps of the race he was in this train. So we're going to take you through and show you exactly what happened. You can see Alex here just coming out of the last corner. If we play this through, we don't have to go too far, and then pause it just about now. We've got 5 cars all within 100 or 200 metres worth of racetrack. We keep on going. Daniel, just for good measure, then joins the party. They're all stuck behind now in a DRS train. Open, we can see here, DRS open, another one open, all the way down, they're all open. Keep playing this through. We then get onto the Camel Straight, all the way up to turn 5. And again, everyone behind has DRS, open, open, open. They can't overtake each other, but that Williams, right at the front, actually has the same top speed. No one could get past him. Luckily for him, great top speed. Another point for Williams. So fantastic for their championship, but so frustrating for everyone else behind who can't get past him.
Thank you, Jordan. Great analysis as always, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more from you in the coming weeks as we have the second and third parts of this triple header to look forward to. Well, let's have a little check back in with Latifi, Alex Albon's teammate, of course, who had that moment and therefore kind of caused Valtteri Bottas to head off into the gravel and D and F. That gravel was pretty tricky. During the beginning of the weekend, we were sort of thinking actually the gravel just kind of let them continue on. It didn't really beach them. But today, Valtteri was well and truly beached on his birthday.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the thing is with gravel, once you come to a stop, the cars, they're kind of sinking into it. So I think whilst you still have a little bit of movement, then it's okay to continue. But because Valtteri was spinning and he was kind of going in backwards, he had to, kind of drive out of it again. He just got beached, and yeah, a very unfortunate end of his race.
Yeah, it certainly was. Poor Valtteri out of the race. Let's hear from him. He was talking in the media pen much earlier on because, of course, he crashed out earlier on in the race.
Hey, Valtteri, can you just kind of sum up the emotions and the retirement where really you could do nothing about it?
It's disappointing, of course. It's with such a mixed grid. There could have been opportunities today, but yeah, I just had to avoid collision. Wrong place at the wrong time, I guess.
Was there any damage on the car? Or did you just get beached in the end?
Yeah, I just got stuck on the gravel, so yeah, I couldn't move the car. I tried to go forward, tried to reverse, but it was stuck.
Hard luck. Thank you.
Thanks.
Not a great day for Valtteri Bottas. Hopefully he'll find some birthday cake this evening and can celebrate in style. Let's move to one of the big talking points of the day, Ferrari and how they got on. Of course, Carlos Sainz started on pole this afternoon. His teammate Charles Leclerc was starting way down the order, so we knew we had a bit of a fight back on our hands for half of the team. Carlos Sainz ending up P3, but Charles Leclerc making an error, speeding in the pit lane, costing him a position, pushing him down to P6. It just isn't going right for that team, Stoffel. I thought the summer break might have kind of cleared the air, given them a new perspective, but it hasn't seemed to.
It doesn't look like they definitely not, use the summer break to come back here and hit the ground running. I think, to be fair, all weekend they were not. It hasn't been the Ferrari we've seen since the start of the year. They were actually genuinely lacking pace this weekend compared to Red Bull, and that might be, almost the first time this year they were so far away from the Red Bull. So it was a bit more difficult. Charles also, obviously with the penalties, had to come back through the field. It looked way more difficult for Charles than it looked for Max. Let's say, he was stuck. He didn't really have the straight line speed. I don't know if that's down to the wing choice they had before the race, but it definitely looked like a challenging weekend. And then, yeah, operationally it still didn't look 100% solid.
What were your thoughts when the tire blankets came off on the grid and Carlos had the softs on? And then what were your thoughts when Charles came in to go for that fastest lap? Were you worrying? Were you thinking, what were they doing at the start? There's so many worries, I think, now when Ferrari make a call like that.
Yeah, well, I was a little bit surprised by seeing the softs at the start, let's say, but even Max went on the soft, and I mean, to be fair, for him it turned out like a great tire, and he could make them last quite a long time. But initially I wasn't so sure about it, and then with Charles at the end, they shouldn't have put that much pressure on Charles, let's say, because he shouldn't have like been in front of or behind Fernando, let's say, when he got out of the pit lane. So he had to re-overtake that place again, and they shouldn't have taken that risk, I feel.
Yeah, and that risk, of course, meaning that Charles ended up speeding in the pit lane, was given a 5-second penalty and drops down the order to P6, promoting Fernando Alonso to P5. Well, I wonder how their team principal, Mattia Binotto, is feeling after today's race. He's been talking to Laura Winter in the F1 paddock.
Well, Mattia, P3 and a P6 arguably could have been a fair bit better, certainly starting from pole. What do you think didn't go quite so well out there for you today?
I think that simply today we didn't have the speed, the pace and the speed of the Red Bulls. They have been very strong the entire weekend. I think they have been very strong as well in Hungary on the high downforce package. So now it's at least a couple of races where Red Bull is simply faster, and it means that we need to keep pushing on performance. We need to keep pushing on developments, not only for this season, for the next one. And they are proving to be a very strong, let me say, team. So they are strong competitors. Having said that, we need to look at our data of today, of the weekend. We had as well high tire degradation. So it's not only simply, let me say, aero efficiency or power. It's more related as well to the tires, let me say, and how we somehow put load on the tires. So there is much to look at. There is much to improve, and I think that's the way we are normally doing. So it's a lesson learned since this weekend. We know that they are strong, but we'll try to do our best for the next races.
And it wasn't just Red Bull in front as well. It looked like George Russell was certainly closing on Carlos Sainz towards the end there as well. Was that due to the tyre degradation you've mentioned, or is there something else lacking there perhaps?
No, I think it was due to tire degradation, which still is part of the performance of the car. So we know that Mercedes have been back in the last races, they are stronger. He finished still behind, so it's important for us. But we need obviously to consider them for the next races. So, but more than the others, whatever is Red Bull or Mercedes doing, it's more to focus on ourselves, try to understand where we are not strong enough today, and as I said, try to keep for better and more developments.
At certain points during the race as well, Charles Leclerc was asked by his engineers sort of what tyres he wanted to go on and his opinion. Is that a different approach you're trying to give the drivers more autonomy over their own race?
Not really more autonomy, but make sure that we've got a transparent and clear communication between us to avoid any, let me say, misunderstanding. So lesson learned from the last races, I think at that stage of the season, more important sometimes to be clear on the radio while the others may listen, but at least we are all involved and no surprises.
On to Zandvoort, what are you expecting there? Certainly from the likes of Red Bull, who at the moment seem to be in another league.
Yes, it seems to be in another league, but it will be another weekend, different type of track. We will analyze the data of this weekend. I think that the gap between us and them generally should be smaller compared to what we have seen this weekend, even if these weekends have been very strong. But we will not go there simply to try to be second or third. We'll try to go there, try to go for a victory. We know it's an important race for them, but it's one of the races from now to the end of the season when we try to do well on our side.
Thanks, Mattia. Hard luck today.
A tough one for Ferrari. Talking now about needing to improve communication on radio. Before it seemed like that wasn't really an issue, and it was other issues at play that was kind of dragging them backwards. But I'm interested that Charles Leclerc lost out to Max today with 0.6 on the timing sheets. That was the same gap that Max had to the field yesterday, 0.6. Max is so far ahead. How can Ferrari claw that back? That's not just a little wing adjust.
No, it's a big chunk. I don't know if it's just a matter of this track where Red Bull is just so dominant. I guess we'll see in Zandvoort. It'll be a complete reset, or Ferrari definitely needs a complete reset, and they need to get themselves back in the game. But if they want or still want a shot at this championship, they need to improve, and they need to start beating Red Bull.
Yeah, they certainly do. Well, this track hasn't suited them, but you would think that Zandvoort might suit them. Mathieu said, we're not turning up there to become second and third. They want to win it, obviously, and surely that is possible for them.
I think it is more likely. It's a high downforce circuit, and I think the Ferrari is good at the high downforce tracks, but Max had a very dominant win there last year as well, so you can be certain that they're going to be there as well.
It's the Dutch army. They're going to be there as well.
They're definitely a lot of orange.
Oh my goodness. Oh, let's hear from Charles Leclerc then. I imagine slightly dejected for Leclerc this afternoon.
Yeah, Charles, it didn't really work out for you today. First you had that visor tail off shit that got stuck and hampered all that great progress you made at the start, and then at the end you got that speed and time penalty as well. Just talk me through how you're feeling right now.
Well, I'm not feeling good, obviously. Other than all of this, there's obviously the pace also. The pace, Carlos and I, we were... The thing that is strange is that the feeling is quite okay inside the car, but then you look at the pace compared to the Red Bull and they are on another planet completely. So, yeah, we need to understand and hopefully by Zandvoort we understand and we come back to as close as Red Bull as we were in the first part of the season.
How surprised are you at that gap, and do you think it's more that they've just moved away from you guys, or do you think you've not really optimised what you've got?
No, very, very surprised. I mean, especially in qualifying. I mean, if you look the qualifying and race, if you look how close we were to the midfield, I think we were more or less like we were in the first part of the season, but they just were much quicker than us, so yeah, very strange.
Thanks.
90.
Very strange. Not the last few words you want to hear from Charles Leclerc before we head off to another racetrack. Well, one to forget for Ferrari. Meanwhile, one to remember and to savour for Red Bull, especially Max Verstappen, just in a league of his own at the moment and with such a huge gap in the standings. I mean, where's the math taking us right now? A celebrations planned for Singapore, for Japan, with a 98-point lead at the moment.
Well, at this rate, he could probably win it in Singapore already, I think. But yeah, I mean, Max is just so confident right now. He hasn't really got a lot of pressure behind him. I mean, the gap is so big that he can even afford to make a mistake or a DNF or whatever it is. But he's in a lot of confidence. The car is working well. He's so good in the races, and the team is just making no big mistakes. So yeah, if they continue like that, they're going to celebrate very early this year.
Absolutely, and he sounded so jubilant, didn't he, in the cockpit when he was coming back in on the team radio, talking back to Christian and to his engineer GP. Just sort of a really positive vibe coming out of that team at the moment, and that just only helps get the job done, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's just feeling very relaxed. I think last year, obviously a lot of pressure to win his first World Championship, and then there was this close fight with Lewis, like weekend in, weekend out, being super close. And I think this year he's got it a little bit more under control. I think he's matured again since last year, and yeah, I think it reflects in his performances as well.
Well, let's hear from the man of the hour, Max Verstappen. He's been talking in the media pen to Lawrence Barretto.
Hey Max, congratulations. How do you feel on a day where you started so far back, you made your way through, and the pace of the car was incredible?
Yeah, I mean, the hardest bit was lap 1 to stay out of trouble, because it was very hectic in front of me and I just really didn't want to be involved. But yeah, we came through quite well. Then, it calmed down with the safety car, and basically from there on was literally basically trying to overtake a car every lap. And then once I realized I was third, I could see, we can win this race, yeah.
Are you surprised at just how good you guys were and the gap to everyone else this weekend?
The whole weekend, yeah, it surprised me already. So, yeah, I think we did a really good job as a team to put the car in a good window. I don't expect it to be like that every single race weekend. But yeah, we, of course, again, made a bigger gap, which is, of course, very nice. But we know that we have to score points every single weekend.
Congratulations. Thank you.
How lucky were we to watch Max Verstappen win the Belgian Grand Prix this afternoon? A half home race for Max, and then next weekend, a proper home race. As I'm looking out over there to Eau Rouge and Radion, I can just see orange. And that is going to be multiplied by thousands next weekend in Zandvoort.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously Spa is kind of a home race for him. His mum is from Belgium, and he grew up racing go-karts here around this area. So yeah, pretty much a home race for him. But next week he's getting the proper one. And you know, if you think you saw a lot of orange here, I think next week we're going to see something else.
It's going to be incredible. I mentioned earlier on in the show that we will be racing here in Spa next year. Stefano Domenicali, the president and CEO of Formula One, announcing that on the grid earlier, as well as through all of the social media on Formula One. So great to know that we'll be racing in Belgium again next year, because, I mean, you must have enjoyed the backdrop, as well as Stoffel, obviously, but it is an amazing place to go racing. Well, just a few more days now and we'll reconvene for the Dutch Grand Prix. Stoffel, thank you so much. Congratulations once again for your championship in Formula E. Hope you've enjoyed all our coverage this weekend from Spa-Francorchamps. Just a few days now and we do it all again in Zandvoort. Goodbye.